The almighty era is upon us, but it hasn't quite arrived. Simply put, Bobby Lashley has been the WWE Champion since March 1st of this year. And while he has been proven to be dominant in that ring against The Miz, against Braun Strowman, against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, the fact is, the WWE has written a lot of shortcuts into his stories and into his matches. With T-Bar and Mace most recently, with the Hurt Business in the past, with MVP at WrestleMania itself. And the fact is that even though stables are there to help stars get over, and that's exactly what the Hurt Business was created for. The Hurt Business was created specifically for Bobby Lashley, to get Lashley to the point, to get him to the main event, and to get him to the point where we believe him as a top star. But Bobby Lashley, the way he wrestles, the way he just appears on the screen, his physical appearance, the aura around the Almighty, the way that we are looking at him on Monday Night Raw as of right now, it's clear that he does not need the Hurt Business for much longer. At least that's my train of thought, and I think that should be WWE's main priority. Getting Bobby Lashley to a point where in the future, and I think that in the very near future, this should be WWE's priority, whether it be for the title or not. We should be getting Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at the biggest party of the summer. Come August, come about 3 months from now, almost 4 months from now, it should be Lashley versus Lesnar. The big issue here is, in what state will Lashley arrive to that match? Will he be as dominant as ever? Will he still be WWE Champion? Will he still need help from outside variables like T-Bar and Mace to win his matches? And I think WWE should take a page out of Impact Wrestling's book. Because if you recall, back in 2014, Bobby Lashley returned to TNA, and he wasn't the same Bobby Lashley he was in 2009, or even when he started in WWE. No, he was better versed in that ring. He was more of an athlete. He was a more well-around wrestler in that ring. And even though they portrayed him as a destroyer, they didn't want to put him head and heels above the rest. Lashley just put on great performances. He put on great matches against the likes of Kurt Angle and Eric Young and Eddie Edwards and many, many more. And that just elevated Lashley to a point where he was the guy in Impact Wrestling before his contract ran up and he had to take a leave and show up back in WWE. And the fact is, he did that all by himself. He did not need a stable to elevate him to that level. WWE, it's different. That's their way of telling stories. That's how they've treated him for the past year. But now's the time for WWE to take the steps needed to really make Bobby Lashley the dominant force of Monday Night Raw. And yes, they can keep the Hurt Business. And hell, they can even add T-Bar and Mace into the Hurt Business. And they could keep that story going all the way into SummerSlam. But if you ask me, have Lesnar reappear in WWE just about a month before SummerSlam. Have him reappear and have Lashley challenge Lesnar to a match. It doesn't need the WWE Championship. It'd be good if it had it. But during the course of that story, leading up to that match between Lesnar and Lashley, just have Lashley tell MVP and whoever else may be in the Hurt Business by then, just have Lashley make it clear that he does not need or want their help to take care of the Beast Incarnate. He wants this one-on-one match. A match that he's been waiting for almost as long as he's been waiting for the WWE Championship. Build up to that match. And then, I don't know, you could go either way at SummerSlam. I know we're all talking about hypotheticals, but say Lesnar wins that match, You have a clear written story where MVP tells Lashley that he needed the Hurt Business to beat the Beast Incarnate. Or you can have it the other way. You can have Lashley beat Lesnar, which would be my preference. As of right now, that will be my preference, just to really fully establish Bobby Lashley as a force, as the force in WWE for years and years to come. And have, everyone around MVP and the Hurt Business and Lashley and the commentators on Raw themselves just start talking about how, and start doubting the fact that Bobby Lashley needs or doesn't need the Hurt Business. Get to that story. And who knows, maybe down the line at WrestleMania next year in Texas, we can have a rematch between Lashley and Lesnar. 1-on-1, nobody else involved. No Paul Heyman, no MVP, no Hurt Business. And it might create some gangbusters business for the WWE. But right now, WWE needs to take the steps for that to happen. And Bobby Lashley needs to dominate Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania Backlash. He needs to beat the living crap out of McIntyre. And most importantly, he needs to earn the respect of Drew McIntyre at the pay-per-view. And hopefully, with a little less interference by outside forces. Because because Bobby Lashley does not need anybody's help. At least that's the way they should be booking him. Because every time Bobby Lashley appears on Raw, especially that time leading up to WrestleMania where he pretty much put a bounty on Drew McIntyre's head, that was cringeworthy. Because like I said, and like I keep saying, a man like Bobby Lashley, the way he looks, the way he comports himself, the way he just dominates in that ring and outside that ring, he does not need any help at all. Give us something different, WWE. Give us Bobby Lashley, the look, the build, the work inside the ring, but also the heelish tactics that he does not need to make his point and make his mark, and then truly we will be in the almighty era of WWE. So those are just my thoughts on Bobby Lashley. Those are just my thoughts on how to make this 44-year-old man, who has just been inserted into the main event of WWE. He's just WWE champion for the very first time in his career. I believe world champion for the 5th time if you count his Impact World title reigns. But WWE has got to start thinking on how to establish new faces. And Lashley should be, if not at the top of the list, one of the top 3 at that list. But again, these are just my thoughts. Go ahead and leave your thoughts on the comment section below. What do you think is going to happen? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me on what Bobby Lashley has been a part of over the past few weeks and the road he should be taking heading into the next big pay-per-view for the WWE? Leave him on the comment section below. I've been Alexis Carrillo. Tune in to Monday Night Raw later tonight to see how this plays out. Because we still got 3 more weeks heading into WrestleMania Backlash and anything can happen. So, I've been Alexis Carrillo. That's been it for me. Have a great rest of your day.